You're listening to Contesting Wrestling. Minisode 48. Getting up there in Minisode numbers. This week we are reflecting on
episode 46.
What is the content of that? I don't know. I don't keep track of what we talk about. On what
our second Rey Mysterio main feed episode.
Rey Mysterio, main eventer.
In the WWE, yes. Working his way toward the World Championship, capturing it, and then what happened after that.
And we watched the recent match of Mr. Rey Mysterio's today.
Indeed, from Payback 2020, the pay-per-view that happened just a few weeks ago.
It was some pay-per-view in some point within the last few months. They all blend together. Let's be real.
It's Rey and his son, Dominic Mysterio. I like to think of them as the Flying Mysterios.
That's pretty good.
Is he going by... Does he go by Dominic Mysterio or just Dominic?
Yes, he goes by Dominic Mysterio.
Though when they came out, the nameplate said Rey Mysterio and Dominic, which I thought was a sort of missed opportunity. Against the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins, and the Disciple, Murphy.
I cannot take Seth Rollins seriously. Every time I go into it with an open mind, like maybe I've been hard on this guy, and I look at his face and I cannot respect him.
I think that's his gimmick at this point. Like, he's been doing it he's been that guy that, like, feels like he's posing in the main event for so long that I think that's just his deal.
And I think it works now better than it ever has. Like, the Monday Night Messiah is the perfect thing for this fucking, poser.
He's the ultimate poser, yes.
I like Murphy.
Murphy's good.
Pretty good.
He is, yeah.
As far as I'm not saying give him the title. I'm saying there's something there.
Goons.
A lot of people like him for his in-ring work. I see him as just like Kenny Omega without the personality.
He's a good goon.
It's like hard to imagine what that even is like.
Well, you saw it. It's Murphy.
I guess, yeah. I just Seth Rollins to me looks like a guy that if Jake Gyllenhaal double booked an autograph signing session, Seth Rollins would be his guy he would hire to go and pretend to be somewhat well-known actor Jake Gyllenhaal.
He looks like somewhere in between Jake Gyllenhaal and Serge Tankian.
Yeah, a little bit.
Reference is missing me.
He's got the schnoz.
He's the singer from System of a Down.
Okay.
Yeah.
While I don't enjoy Serge Tankian's music, I do respect him in a way I don't really respect Seth Rollins or Jake Gyllenhaal, so that's complicated.
Serge Tankian and Jimmy Urine made a very interesting album in the last couple of years.
Urine as
kind
an
of like
Yes. He's the singer from Mindless Self-Indulgence. They've been wanting to put this out for years.
It's like a sort of audio comic book is the only real way I can describe it. It's really interesting. I'll find the name of it.
I know I've seen that System of a Down have been having sort of a similar there's just been a rash of like realizations on the internet that it's sort of reminiscent of the Rage Against the Machine things where people are like, wait, like System of a Down had like leftist anti-establishment politics. And, like, even I, as a not nu metal fan, were like, well, that part of them was cool.
Yes.
Like,
they had a record called "Steal This Album."
Yeah.
The record I was talking about is called Fucktronic.
Right.
F-U-K Tronic.
Nice.
Yeah, the in System of a Down land these days, like their drummer has been like slipping into Red Pill land, and so they've all been arguing online. Their deal for years and years is that they have not been able to stand each other's company long enough to make a new album, but occasionally they can get together for a couple of months and play some shows, and then they get far away from each other again. And I think that's fine, whatever. They're very passionate guys.
Okay, before we get into the match, Evan, this was your first experience of the Thunderdome. What did you think of this new presentation of the WWE's new way of dealing with our quarantine situation?
I mean, I guess it's... I'll give him this. I don't know what I would have done.
Right.
Well, you wouldn't have watched wrestling if you had the choice.
Well, yeah, that's true.
They found a local arena that partners with them, so they can just set up the Thunderdome in that arena and leave it there. Because it's not like anything else is happening at the big arenas either.
And the Thunderdome,
I think Evan,
and the Thunderdome, can I just say, is going about as poorly as you'd expect.
For a variety of reasons. But Evan, you would have just not forced the wrestlers to risk their lives by coming to work.
I guess if I was Vince McMahon and I was like, well, clearly I need people out there risking their lives so I can take the money that creates and use it to buy myself more shit. But so in that mindset.
Shout out to Andrew Yang, who has come out like he's gonna put fucking WWE's feet to the fire as much as he possibly can about their labor practices.
Yeah, man.
So I'm looking forward to that.
I know we have a relatively small listenership, and God knows if any of this ever makes its way to anybody involved in the WWE, but like, my God, man. If there has ever been a time for wrestlers to unionize or for wrestlers to have some kind of a strike, like guys like Vince McMahon, I might not be a wrestler, but I do know what it is like. I do know what it's like to ruin my physical body to make somebody else rich so I can get a pittance in which I can support myself. And guys like Vince, man, it's never going to stop. It's never gonna I was being somewhat glib earlier, but like his wealth really is built on other people taking on physical risks.
Yeah.
And there is never, if you let him take your name, that will still not be enough, because he will just think, well, now I have their name, what else can I take?
Yep.
Because the way that he makes money is taking as much of somebody else as he can, and then giving them enough where they don't want to go anywhere else. And just there has to be a struggle against this, because it'll never stop.
So speaking of taking people's names and then perhaps also their body parts, the impetus for this tag team match comes from first the horror show at Extreme Rules. We talked about that a little bit with the eye for an eye match, where Rey Mysterio's eye was ostensibly, not very ostensibly, but a little bit ostensibly, popped out of the socket. So, that led to Dominic wanting revenge. They give him, Murphy and Rollins beat him mercilessly with a cane 1 week on Raw. And eventually, then Dominic has his very first WWE match against Rollins one-on-one. It's an Extreme Rules match. Rollins ends up winning. He beats Dominic while Rey is helplessly handcuffed to the ropes. Lots of heat. They build up a whole ton of heat for this tag team match.
It was done very well, I have to say. Like that, the singles match between Dominic and Rollins was an excellent match, and it got Dominic over. And Dominic, for his experience level, is fantastic. And it just goes to show you.
It's baffling how good he is already.
How old is Dominic?
23, I want to say. I looked this up recently.
It just goes to show how good the training is outside the WWE, where Mysterio made sure to send him first.
Where has Dominic trained?
I think Booker T trained him partially.
And he trained under Lance Storm as well.
Oh, Lance Storm.
Yeah, well, Ray made sure to send him like places that weren't the WWE so he could actually get good.
Now, if he was training at the Performance Center, I'm sure they would have helped him along. But you see people who train at the Performance Center for years and years and years, and they're just not getting it. And there's a reason for that sometimes.
Yeah, the Performance Center is a great, finishing school. It's a great place to get the kind of polish and learn the WWE style. But it's been proven time and time again, to be a great wrestler, you need to work the indies. And Dominic wasn't really ever going to actually work the indies, because they wanted to keep him this, secret until they finally debuted him. But the next best thing to that is to train in a variety of different wrestling schools.
I mean, he comes out. Was this like his first match? This was his first pay-per-view match.
This is his
This is his third match.
Third match. His second pay-per-view match. They did 2 pay-per-views on consecutive weeks. Calling them pay-per-views by now is really kind of a misnomer. They tried a while back to like change it to like special events, and wrestling fans being wrestling fans are like, pay-per-views, they're pay-per-views. But now since they're primarily consumed on the network, they really are just special events. You can still buy them on pay-per-view. A certain percentage of people do, but it's not the primary
I don't know why you
anymore.
would.
Well, if you don't have good broadband internet in your area, which some places still don't.
His first match was at SummerSlam, 1-on-1 against Rollins, that we already explained he lost, and he was very impressive in. Then his second match was the next night on Raw. They did this tag team match, but it was interrupted by Retribution, this like activist stable that's running
worthless.
wild in WWE. And then the next Sunday, as Doc and Katie were saying, they did another special, Payback, and that's where this match was from. And, like Dominic, he has like an incredible spring to his movements. Like his springboards are somehow higher than everybody else's. We didn't have you watch his very first match just because it was really long. And we wanted to do something kind of short for this mini. But the frog splash he did in that first match was like, he got some insane height on. He does his finisher is the 619 and then the frog splash, a reference to his legal father and his real father, as we'll talk about in a future episode.
We're going to have some fun with this one.
Oh, yes.
I mean, right, just like within the first like minute of this match, I mean, the first thing that happens is he comes out and he just punches Seth Rollins in the face.
It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more than that. Ray tells him, backs him into the corner and says, "I'm going to start the match. All right, Dominic, let me start it. I'm the veteran. I'll tag you in later." And Dominic's like, okay. He's about to leave the ring. And then he turns around and just rushes past Ray and punches Rollins in the face.
The story that tells is masterful. Everybody
Exactly.
understands that,
And then I loved when he does like a 619, but on the bottom rope instead of the middle rope, which also kind of winds up looking like a breakdancing move in a way that just spins his body around. And I don't know, it was cool. It's a cool variation because I guess he has the same thing that a lot of other second generation wrestlers have, where he has to. Your choice is either lean into your legacy while making yourself something of your own, or go in there under a different name and pretend like it's something like you're a different person.
Pretty much.
And I respect that he is really making an effort to carve something out of his own while still being like, yes, obviously we all know who I am.
Just to talk about Ray a little bit more, there's something that I wanted to talk about in the earlier episodes that I didn't get around to. One of Ray's more innovative moves that he developed in WWE is when he slides under the bottom rope to the floor, and he'll do it in a variety of different contexts. Sometimes it's just the heel like chucking him out of the ring that way. Sometimes he's doing a splash. This time Rollins chucks him out and he lands on Murphy's knees. And I just always really like seeing that move. It's kind of amazing to me how well someone can slide on the canvas of the ring. It doesn't seem like a particularly, slippery or smooth surface.
That's not. I mean, it depends on what gear you're wearing, I suppose.
Do guys still oil up before they go out there?
Some of them. It depends on how they want their body to look.
Ray does wear very kind of slick, like vinyl gear that would allow for that, I guess.
You can tell if somebody's wearing too much oil. A little will help the light catch your body. Too much makes you look oily.
Yeah, no, too much is bad.
And then towards the end of the match, Ray does the slide into a sunset flip power bomb into the barricade, which is pretty cool.
Well, Ray knows what he's doing. He's aging in reverse after aging and fast forward for so long.
It's
so he's
bizarre.
about where he needs to be now.
I was saying, dude's 46 now.
Something like that, yeah.
Like that, he's moving around.
Yeah, he took a few years where he really took it easy.
I'm telling you, he injects stem cells directly into his knees.
Yes, that
Whoa,
is true.
slow down there. I mean, Ben, you would know you are a spy drone.
There you go. Is that Are the stem cells in one of your compartments?
Oh, maybe that's how you're a spy drone, but you've achieved consciousness.
It's
Is
the
that
it's the
that's
stem
had
cells.
stem
Yes.
cells, so you're
Yeah.
actually sort of a horrifying fusion of man and machine.
I just eat embryos
Right. That's
directly.
Wow, this got dark quick.
I mean, look, I'm just saying Trader Joe's has had to get very creative in the last 6 months as supply lines have gotten complicated.
Well, that was an episode of South Park, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
yes.
Maybe.
Right. No, definitely. They as South Park does, they try and take whatever the argument happening is and bring it to what its most ridiculous conclusion was. And they were like, well, if we're talking about stem cells, let's have the villain actually just eating embryos and babies. Because that's what they want you to think it is. So this is what happens if that's what it is. Which it's not, by the way.
No.
No.
That's not what it is.
Except for Ben here.
Exactly.
Yeah, Ben feasts on at least a baby a day.
Did Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho ever have a beef? Did they ever have a series of matches?
We watched one of their matches
right.
the last episode we recorded.
Right.
Evan.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll come back to you. It's a good.
No,
That's a good thought, though, as a wrestling
Maybe
fan
not
to
the
have.
last episode, like 2 episodes.
That's
ago.
I was
Exactly.
gonna say definitely wasn't the last one.
That's exactly what they want, though. They want to show you something and then have you think, man, I'd like to see that, and then they can just do it again.
Speaking
that's
Speaking
scary.
of Chris Jericho, I wondered if you noticed, because Evan, you're always talking about how Jericho is one of the rare wrestlers who's super vocal in his matches. Rollins is very vocal in this match. He's saying to Ray, like, where's Angie now? Who's his wife? Like, where's Dominic now? Blah, blah, blah. And then he says to Murphy, he's like, kick him in the head. And he throws Ray at Murphy, but Ray reverses it, and Rollins is the one whose head is kicked. I enjoyed that a lot.
Sometimes
it's
one
like-
of the best ways to call spots is just loudly and blatantly like that,
When it's a tag match and you're supposed to be cooperating, right?
I was to say part of the way that he is a poser is that he does kind of also he could be like a whack Jericho like that.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah, like his vocalization isn't as cool as Jericho. He's kind of doing the same thing, but somehow it's just not nearly as good.
He should come out and be like, I'm Das Champion.
He should. It'd be better, especially considering he's not even the champion.
No,
Not that Jericho is anymore, but he was
just
at
start
least.
posing as the champion. Just start wearing the belt around. He'll carry the belt in one hand and a skateboard he can't ride in the other.
I'd love it if he just had a championship belt and someone's like, where'd you get that? And he's like, WWE.com. They sell replicas.
It's one of the
bet-
fake plastic ones too.
Yeah, because they sell several levels of replicas. Like you can get, I don't know what the prices are these days, but it's like for $250 you can get a replica championship belt, and for like $550 you can get a really, really nice replica championship belt. For I think it's $6,000 you can get like a limited edition Fiend championship belt made by the special effects studio that made the one that he had. So it's just basically an authentic major special effects piece.
It is such an ugly fucking
It's
piece of
so
shit.
ugly. Yeah. Some people bought them because, what they were doing was testing the high end of their market. Whatever.
guess so.
Test the high end of your market. If somebody's going to give you an obscene amount of money for some bullshit, take it from them. They don't need it.
I only had one detail about the earlier episode about Ray that we did, where I had set something up that we didn't pay off. So the angle slam reversal to the arm drag that Ray innovated in the first Kurt Angle match that we watched from SummerSlam 2002 plays into the finish of the triple threat match at WrestleMania 22, where Ray wins the title, because Angle's going to hit him with the angle slam. He reverses it into that arm drag, and then he hits the 619 and West Coast pop on Randy Orton to win the title. So I just thought I'd cash that check for our listeners.
Cool.
We got a lot of emails about that. So
Angry ones.
I'm glad you got in on it.
Angry.
Somehow
Scribe
they're not
Ben-
sending it all to Scribe Ben.
Yeah, Scribe. Guys, we told you the email. We don't answer our emails at Scribe Ben.
Yeah, on Twitter.
Well, probably more on Instagram. I don't look at Twitter that often.
@ScribeBen on Instagram.
Yeah.
I kind of like that I'm not as involved in Twitter and all this stuff happens with our listeners and I only find out about it kind of down the line.
Well, it's a good thing to illustrate for our listeners. Remember, Twitter is not the entire world.
No. I like pictures. I'm on Instagram.
It is funny to pop onto the Twitter sometimes and then I'm like, I'll go in and look at it and be like, wow, Doc's been busy. Well, it's okay. There's a lot of stuff. All right. I'm going back to mine.
It's just Twitter, man. It's just Twitter, you know.
Yeah.
I'm okay at it. I'm not great at it. I'm okay
Everyone's
at it.
so angry there.
Everyone is so angry on Twitter. It's because when somebody gets angry at something on Twitter, they are that level of angry about it forever. So you just accumulate new things you're angry about until you're angry about everything all the time. And it's an easy trap to fall into. Try not to do that.
I'm trying.
I'm angry enough.
I do find I've finally gotten to a point with my Twitter where I've been able to parse it down largely to like either like news sources and journalists that I like and trust, writers that I like and trust, randos who don't seem to be quite so filled with venom all the time. And I've come to prefer it to Facebook only because I might have talked about this before, but like Facebook, like the fact that people that I know suck is a lot harder to deal with than
that's exactly where I am, Evan.
No, like
that's exactly where I am with Facebook. It's like it's all these people that I know that are being terrible people, as opposed to Twitter, where I don't actually know most of these people.
Yeah, and like the handful of people that I do know in real life that I interact with on Twitter, it's all very pleasant, and I don't.
Oh yeah, it's all very pleasant. Feel free to DM us. We will respond, you know, and if you actually have something to say to us, it's probably cool. So great. Thank you.
@ContestingW is the Twitter.
Yeah.
This has been Contesting Wrestling. Get ready for Monday when our new episode is going to be
our first episode about the late great Eddie Guerrero.
Oh man.
Is everyone ready to get uncomfortable?
We're in a run-up to what's going to be our special 1-year anniversary that does not actually quite fall on our anniversary.
It's a sort of anniversary.
That's coming up soon, and I feel like Eddie Guerrero is an important late addition to my understanding of the history of wrestling.
Yeah, unless that anniversary episode comes out first. I don't know. There's various logistics.
I got to edit all of them tonight, so we'll see.
We got to do the Eddie premium if Eddie's going to come out on Monday. You're seeing behind the curtain, listeners.
Yeah, it's so much fun here.
You got a curtain? You do got a curtain. Hey.
I did. We're doing well. We're doing all right on Patreon.
I have like a towel that I hung up.
Kayfabe,
the
brother,
luxury of a curtain.
It's a giant 40-foot black drape, you know, and then you get some pipes and you put it together. That's a set, and you guys got to put on more shows. Hey,
this has been Contesting Wrestling. Thank you. We love you.
Bye. Peace.